for educational purposes and is not intended as medical advice or a substitute for medical advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare professional. We do not aim to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any illness or disease. And you should always consult with a doctor or other healthcare professional for medical advice or information about diagnosis and treatment. And the information in this presentation has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration or any other medical body. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Dr. Doreen Narbo. I'm your host on today's call. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a clinical researcher and an author of several books.
And they are great reading, by the way.
So welcome to our Tuesday call with Clayton Thomas, who is the founder of Rooot. Hello and welcome back.
We're here. We're back.
We saw you very little time ago.
I know. I don't know if I'm better on video or in person. Everyone looks at Christina and is like, you know, you're better looking in person. I'm like, of course she is, because you can't translate sunlight on camera.
Mm-hmm. Well, for those of you who don't know, Clayton has over 27 years of experience in the health and wellness industry. And for the past 18 years, he has been focused on detoxification and supplementation formulations with a simple philosophy, cure the cause.
For the last, you could say 5 or 6 years, we've been focused on the creation of greatness. And we're getting pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm. So today, are you ready for our topic?
Let's rock.
Today, we're going to talk about air.
Oh,
Air. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, we're going to talk about air. But first, we're going to go ahead and recap our talk that we had 2 weeks ago. Or was that 3 weeks ago? No, about water. Yeah, I think it was 3 because the week before we talked about, well, that was Q&A, right? So
Yeah.
You will do Q&A next week, but so we're going to recap water for those of you who weren't with us, and just a reminder. But before we get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the UK team, other members, to the UK team and other members that came out to help us at the Mind, Body, Spirit show in London. It was a phenomenal success.
And we were really grateful for all that help.
no one got arrested.
Here are a couple of little pictures of some of the people that came out to help us. We had a great time.
We did.
See, Harry made front page news.
And it was great meeting.
There was
everybody.
there was only a couple disappointing points if you were there. Patrick didn't wear the Keanu outfit. It would have been perfect to have the official Ginger Keanu in the booth, but it might have caused a little bit of a ruckus.
He wore his hat.
He did.
True.
Okay, so 3 weeks ago, we spoke about the importance of water, and water helps to balance your fluid. It's a fatigue buster. It's a blood normalizer. It helps control calories. It helps to boost your brain. It's a joint lubricant, flushes toxins, boosts productivity. It also hydrates your skin, aids in digestion, fuels your muscles, and regulates your body temperature, and carries nutrients to cells. So water is the connection to all of us. It's a conduit between us and the world. And interesting, water is 71%, the earth is 71% water, and we are 70 to 90% water, depending on your age. So babies, of course, are around 90%, but as we age, we're around 70. So we detox to only retox due to the water that we drink and the water that we bathe in, and shower in as well. So there was a new study that was published from the University of Pittsburgh, and they were talking about the volatile chemicals present in municipal drinking water supplies that are especially toxic to people when they're exposed to them during bathing and showering. And what they found out was that this inhalation exposure to the water pollutants has been pretty much ignored. And the data indicates that when you take a hot shower, it liberates between 50 to 80% of the dissolved chemicals into the air. It literally like aerosolizes the chemicals into the air, and you breathe them in, and they're toxic.
Mm.
So this slide here is really interesting because this is where we used to live many, many years ago. We had our children in this area here. This is in Fallbrook in California, the Rainbow Municipal Water District, where we get our water back then. And if you're in the States, you can go onto ewg.com and just type your zip code in, and you can look at these contaminants in the water. This is really powerful when you're talking to people. Like, show them things like this, because people don't really know, they don't understand it. And even if you're getting water from, like, I know there's Arrowhead, there's Sparklets, and all these other companies that you're getting water from, but water is really important. So in the UK, we have trihalomethanes. This is related to bladder cancer within the European Union, but it's very high in the UK. This is because when they're using chlorine to disinfect the tap water and natural organic matter in the water, and these levels are quite high, causing bladder cancer. Then we looked at Dr. Emoto. And actually, Claire, like we said before, had the great honor of working with Dr. Emoto to help him translate his books from Japanese into English. And what he concluded during his findings was that water is the blueprint of our reality, basically, our emotional energies, the vibrations that could actually change the physical structure of water. So here he proved that water, here, like pictures of water being affected by music. And then there was another study done.
Essentially, it's a recorder, isn't it, really?
Yes. But this is an interesting study here. This was a hypothesis that water treated with intention can affect ice crystals formed from the water. This was actually a pilot study under double-blind conditions where they took 2,000 people in Tokyo who focused on positive intentions towards water samples located inside an electromagnetically shielded room in California. And that group was unaware of similar water samples set aside in different locations as controls. And these ice crystals formed from both sets of water samples were blindly identified, photographed by analysts, and the resulting images were blindly assessed for aesthetic appeal by 100 different judges.
You put before the images of like music being played. You didn't have country music, because I believe when you play country music with water, it turns into beer.
Or maybe it would be ice crystals crying.
Yeah.
We have to try that. You try
We
that.
should try.
We should try that. I love country
On.
music, actually. Okay, so here is, this is taken from Dr. Emoto's site. Here, they're talking about how words have power. And what he was talking about, one of the things he was saying was that how, parents interact with the children, how the words have power and affects your child. It's affecting the water inside their body. So even, like we know 98% of the self-talk that we do is quite negative. So it's something to really be aware of. Okay, so that's a high level recap on water, our talk about water. So now I want to talk about air, because the air around us, we want to talk about the air around us, because you can survive 3 minutes without breathable air. A person can survive without water for about 3 days. So we're going to hit on water, on our environment. Air outside, in the home, and when we're traveling. When we talk about air pollution, this refers to the release of pollutants into the air. pollutants which are detrimental to human health and the planet as a whole. And according to the World Health Organization, each year air pollution is responsible for nearly 7 million deaths around the globe. Nine out of 10 are currently breathing air that exceeds the recommended guidelines for pollutants, with those living in low and middle income countries suffering the most. So I thought this was pretty interesting.
When you look at total exposure on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to drink, depending upon what your argument says, you can say a gallon of water. Usually less than that, but we'll just say a gallon of water. But with breathing, on average, you're inhaling 32 cubic meters of air every day. And you're probably going to get into how just absolutely toxic indoor air, and then we can look at pet health as well as human health and how that applies, but I'm going to let you proceed.
Okay, so what causes air pollution? We're just taking a high level view here because I'm going to let you finish up the conversation about something that you have that can help with this. That can be the solution. Oh, so sorry about that.
Now, is that your bag phone? Which phone was ringing like it was from 1972?
That's my work phone.
Red flag for you, Claire.
Oh yeah, red flag for me, red flag.
I got it.
We're going to take that out. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me back up. It's nice because, we can do this. We can back up. We can go forward. Okay, so what causes air pollution? Well, air pollution comes from from energy use and production. It comes from burning fossil fuel, refers to like burning of oil, natural gas, coal to generate energy. And we use this energy to generate electricity to power transportation, for example, cars and planes and trains as well, industrial processes. And ever since the invention of the first coal-fired steam engines in the 1700s, our burning of fossil fuel has steadily increased. Across the globe each year, we now burn over 4,000 times the amount of fossil fuels burnt during 1776. That's incredible. The effects of the burning of the fossil fuels, especially carbon dioxide, have far-reaching effects on our climate and our ecosystem. Oh, this is beautiful LA.
Yeah,
So this
not so beautiful.
No, very rarely do I ever remember being in LA where I could have a clear day, a clear skyline there. So another type of air pollution, smog, which is worsened by increased heat. And when the weather is warmer, there's more ultraviolet radiation. And smog is sometimes referred to as ground zero ozone. This occurs when emissions are combusting fossil fuels react with the sunlight. Smog, of course, can irritate your eyes, your throat, can damage your lungs, especially those of children, senior citizens. We have smog alerts now. People who work and exercise outdoors should not do it during this time when the smog is at the high point of the day. It's worse for people with asthma and allergies. And of course, there's extra pollutants can intensify their symptoms and also trigger asthma attacks. So the climate changes also increase the production of allergenic air pollutants, such as mold, thanks to the damp conditions caused by the extreme weather and increasing flooding and pollen due to the longer pollen season. So the seasons are actually becoming longer throughout the year. They're just each year they're increasing.
How does that happen? How can the seasons get longer if we have the same number of days?
Well, it's the pollen. It's because of how the climate is changing, how it's influencing the air, and then we have the flooding, and then they're talking about like the mold and stuff like that. So as well, it's actually increasing here because we're having drier days. We're having longer periods of time where we have a longer grass season because we're getting more cuts during the year, not like before.
And there's less snow as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't it amazing? Harp is a great thing when it comes to
Isn't it just?
environment.
So then we have soot. So soot is known as a particulate matter, is made up of tiny particles and chemicals from soil, smoke, dust, and allergens in the form of either gas or solids that are carried in the air. The source of the soot is usually, soot and smog are very similar. They both come from trucks, cars. What is that?
Vivian, needs to.
You red flag that.
Verena just
Yeah.
won the internet for the day.
Oh, it's Verena.
I don't care who you are. That was classic moment. And we have to congratulate.
What was that?
We have to congratulate Verena for just achieving platinum here earlier this week. So
well
that
done.
gives her the opportunity to flush the toilet, unmute herself and flush the toilet.
Flush the toilet.
Absolutely classic, Verena. Good play.
Oh my God.
Well
Poor thing.
played. It's okay.
Now
She washed her
everybody
hands.
knows what's happened.
And she
Oops.
washed her hands and she had the air filter on.
Okay,
Right.
we're talking about soot. Okay, so soot is very similar to smog. Comes from cars and trucks, factories, power plants, incinerator, engines, generally anything that combusts fossil fuels such as coal, gas, and natural gas. And what is detrimental about these particles is that they're so tiny that they actually bypass our natural ability to expel larger particles with a cough or a sneeze. So when the soot particles are inhaled, they lodge deep into your lungs and enter the bloodstream, leading to heart attacks, cancer, and even death. And this I thought was really interesting. I wasn't going to bring it up. I said to Claire, I have to say this, right? So in a 2020 report from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, they showed that COVID-19 mortality rates in areas with more soot pollution were higher than in areas that were slightly less, showing a correlation between the virus's deadliest and long-term exposure to this fine particulate matter.
That means it's more sensitive around the more polluted areas. So you're more likely to have a problem with it.
What you're saying is the inhalation of toxins that gets into your lungs that can damage the lining of your lungs, and then inhalation of other compounds that could create an explosion of mold and fungus in your lungs would be deemed to be not good.
Perhaps not. I mean, it's
I'm
doesn't give it the lungs the ability to regenerate themselves so quickly. In terms
Hey,
of
Dory, because it looks like you're going to move inside. Can I hit
Yes,
on
we are.
something real quick before we go
Okay.
inside to go to the outside part? You're hitting
Yeah.
on smog. And to go along with the smog, depending upon where you are, if you're from the islands, and I've been fortunate to spend a lot of time in the Hawaiian Islands, and this ties into the whole aspect of why we're here. But we're familiar with smog, but many people are not familiar with the term of VOG, V-O-G, which is volcanic fog. And it was volcanic eruptions that were the original form of environmental toxicity, right? And the gases that come out of volcanoes create this volcanic fog, which is also highly toxic. But that process of volcanic eruption, which creates lava and ash, as well as the VOG, is the same mechanism that created this amazing little crystal that nature created to clean up the whole mess, which is the reason that we're here. Proceed.
So nature's provided.
Always does.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to figure out how to use it well. And for that, you need a nanotechnology bioscience engineering savant that happens to be a pecacorn. And aren't we fortunate?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this slide here pretty much says it all. That your house, your environment that you're living in is pretty toxic. You have dust for one thing. Everybody has dust, toxic mold, certain hazardous materials, depending on your house, at the age of your house, using asbestos and things like that, from poor ventilation, carbon dioxide. I mean, who hasn't had a mouse or two in their house? I've never had a mouse in my house.
You need an old house for that.
You know what's interesting that's not on here? One of the most toxic thing, often the most toxic thing that you can find in a house is actually not on the list. And that is the residents themselves, because a lot of times the people that reside in the residence are more toxic than their environment.
Oh, you're jumping way ahead of me now.
Okay, fine.
We have them already.
We've already included that in another slide, but that's for later.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so, and then we've had multiple conversations about off-gassing for example, your carpets, your beds, all these chemicals, right?
Fire retardant.
Yeah, absolutely. Fire retardant is a
Fire
big one.
retardant.
Dander from your pets. You have dander from your pets as well. And I thought this was interesting that those ladybugs there hibernate inside the structure, and when disturbed, they emit this secretion that triggers allergic asthma.
Mhm.
You have carbon monoxide and all kinds of different things. And here's the radon gas as well. I don't know. We don't really test for that. I actually contacted the radon. Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'll write it down.
I don't know how I can get it out.
For those of you who don't know, Dory also runs a call center out of her house.
Oh, no.
That's work. I know that
I'm
sound.
sorry.
That's
This
work.
is I can't turn it off. I'm sorry. Well, we'll just let it pass. It'll go to
I guarantee you it's not Avon calling.
It's not. Okay, moving on.
Yeah,
Okay,
you were
so
saying
now
about
we're
radon. Sorry.
What's that? We're going to delete that. What's that?
You were talking about the radon, which we haven't explored
Oh,
yet.
right.
Radon.
This is a type of gas that, it doesn't have any smell. And a lot of homes, like when they start, building homes on like here in Norway, for example, they're cutting into the rocks, and the radon is a gas in the rocks, and so they need to be checking for the radon because it's a carcinogenic. Okay, so now we're going to move on to travel. For example, let's talk about airplanes.
And we did a deep dive on this.
We had a really great talk on aerotoxicity, and we went over this in great detail. I'm not going to go into it right now, but basically air bleed. What is air bleed? It's when engines provide pressurized breathing air for the cabin air, and the air is bled off of the compressor stage within the turbine, which is called bleed air. You can actually smell this. I mean, I've smelled it many times. But the plane to take that doesn't have this bleed air is the Dreamliner.
Yeah, as if there's many of those actually out.
Exactly. So this is a fume event. And did you know that bleed air is not filtered or monitored? Do you know who determines that? It's the pilots. The pilots are the ones who with their own noses. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Anyways, this is a fume event, smoke in the aircraft. And here the crew will wear pressurized oxygen masks and eye protection if available. However, there's no protection available for passengers. So hopefully we never have to experience a fume event. The problem with the fume event or any of these bleed air is that, again, it's ultrafine particles. And these particles, again, get into your lungs. You can't cough them out. You can't sneeze them away. These ultrafine particles are related to mortality, lung cancer, cardiopulmonary toxicity, DNA damage, neurological disorders, and severe cognitive deficits such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, and dementia.
You make me want to go fly back over to Europe since we just got home again. I'm glad I took a train for most of the way. And for this reference, you should also watch the aerotoxic video that we have on the YouTube channel already, because we crushed this conversation.
Yeah, that conversation there, we go over in great detail about how the bleed air occurs and how, from the combustions from the turbines and things like that. So that's a really interesting conversation.
And the effect on the effect on their pilots was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
then we have something called disinfection. If you've ever been on a plane on a long distance trip, especially going over to Asia, they will come out with insecticides and spray the cabin. What's interesting is they don't always necessarily tell you that they're going to do that. So all of a sudden you could be eating or something and they're come down the line, down your aisle spraying. So some countries require that inbound flights be treated with pesticides to prevent the spread of insects, diseases carried by insects, like, for example, malaria or Zika. And these insecticides can actually last and killing up to, I think, about approximately 8 weeks.
Not good.
Oh, whoops. Wait a minute. Let me go back here.
But the good part with that is when they spray the plane like that, because of how the filtration system works, the plane is only good at recirculating all of that. Oh, maybe that's not a good thing. I apologize.
Why you need your own portable air filter, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Carry it with you.
Yeah, so you can carry it with you. Anyways, so here are some aerotoxic symptoms. Again, we've gone over this in our aerotoxic call, which is really, really a great call. If you haven't seen it, you're going to be flying. You definitely want to see that.
Time to wear the mask on that one.
So aerotoxic syndrome affects the central nervous system and the brain in particular, while genetic variations means not all people will suffer symptoms, but the nature of the chemicals present in the contaminated air means that they can dissolve in our cell membranes and get into our cells and therefore penetrate every system in our body.
Well,
and it leads
may I cut in real quick? Because you mentioned something that's really important for people to understand. Because I've had many conversations with people when they use the term genetic variation. And it's crucial to understand that any genetic variations, like you hear commonly because of the hype behind it, MTHFR, and people think, oh, I have a genetic variation that doesn't allow me to detoxify things or doesn't allow me to function properly. The reason you have that genetic anomaly, which is actually an epigenetic issue of a gene being active or inactive, those genetic variations are actually caused by heavy metal and environmental exposure in the womb. So everything goes back to being toxic and polluted. So if your mom is polluted because of the air she's breathing and she's taking care of you, and everything that was in her goes into the placenta that poisons the little ones from the time that they're a sperm and an egg and get together, that damage to the exposure to the internal environment is what leads to those anomalies. So it all comes back to the same subject.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving along to another mode of transportation, another source of pollution.
Have you looked closely?
Giving one of those away.
Have you looked closely?
Really? Look at it closer.
Hold on, I can't tell.
Oh, come on. You can't see it?
It's got a chimney.
I see that. Oh, I thought it was the bridge behind it, but all right.
I know. It took me a while.
Okay, we were just playing with you. We thought it was funny. Okay, source of pollution in the cars, right? We have
Teslas
traffic.
actually have biohazard mode, just so you know. One of the things, and since we're giving away a Performance Model 3 in November to an RPS member, but Teslas actually have biohazard mode for amazing air filtration. Just so you know.
Mhm.
But we got something for that too.
Okay, well, we have traffic emission, we have new car smell, pollutant, and what is that noise? We're going to have a lot of cutting to do on this call.
Sue.
No.
There you go. Sue's muted.
Okay, there. Okay, and occupants, this is where you were talking about people. Okay, so traffic emissions. Much of the air pollution in your cars enters from the outside as you travel, through open windows, through air vents. Gasoline, diesel, exhaust fumes contain a number of dangerous pollutants, including particulate matter, VOCs, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide. Exposure to traffic emissions on busy roadways and heavy truck traffic is known as a health hazard, especially in people with respiratory and heart disease. You know, that's the nice thing about living where I live. We don't have this kind of traffic anymore.
Mm.
And then the new car smell and other pollutants. Cars and trucks are assembled from hundreds of different materials, including plastics, fibers, adhesives, paints, and lubricants. And many of these products release VOCs. These are volatile chemicals into the cabin air as the car ages, and including irritant chemicals known as carcinogens such as benzene and formaldehyde. And although the off-gassing of these components is highest when the vehicle is new, that new car smell, I actually like the new car smell. I love it actually, but I guess it's pretty bad for you. So it persists for several years. It's most noticeable on hot days. You know, when you get in the car, it's hot and you can actually feel it. Actually, your eyes start burning when you open it up. So gasoline fumes, which are another source of these hazardous VOCs, can also get into your car during refueling. Moisture problems from leaks or floods that can result in growth of mold in the car's air conditioning system and the interior. This can also trigger allergic reaction and asthma in sensitive individuals. I'm sure that you've gotten in your cars before and you could actually smell that kind of funky smell when you turn on your air conditioning. That's mold. So those things need to be cleaned out.
Yeah, got a damp smell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really weird smell.
Mm.
So the occupants, let's talk about the occupants. We don't often think of ourselves as a source of indoor air pollution, but many things that we bring into the vehicle, our behavior, or even our breath can result in pollution problems in a closed environment, like within the car cabin. Household products frequently contain chemicals that become even more dangerous in enclosed environments. Scented air fresheners. How many people are putting those I don't like those air fresheners. I never have an air freshener in the car. But a lot of people have air fresheners in the car. Of course, your personal care products, such as cosmetics, deodorants, they also release chemicals as well. You have food waste, papers, and clutter, dust. They also harbor mold, bacteria, and pests. And then, of course, there's secondhand smoke. I'm not just talking about just secondhand smoke from cigarettes, but what about those exhausts from e-cigarettes? These are really bad. They contain hundreds of chemicals known to be toxic and carcinogenic. Also, they include formaldehyde, benzene, vinyl chloride, arsenic, ammonia, hydrogen cyanide, and can cause or make worse a wide range of damaging health effects in children, adults, including lung cancer, respiratory infection, and asthma. So if you're driving with several passengers in a closed up car for an extended period of time, the level of carbon dioxide that you exhale can build up enough that will actually impair your attention and make you drowsy. So another reason to have maybe something in the car to help with that. So this is interesting here. our air quality is one of the most pressing issues for the 21st century. And if you look on this wheel here, this is a cause of global change. This is related to what we're doing to create this global change and how it works and how the ecosystem works. But now I'm going to turn it over to Clayton so he can talk about three new products. And here's the first one. So Clayton, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this one first.
So, and it was really opportune timing, because an hour ago, the detox girls were having a conversation with Mike Dillon about this. And, as you've done such an amazing job of going over here, the importance of air, purified air. We know that it's important to purify your water and everything. You got to drink the best fluids possible. And we're definitely probably the most advanced in the world about cleaning up the body. So that leaves one area of weakness: air filtration. And through this journey, it's the amazing part of having a great community. I was introduced to a colleague who is the owner and the distributor of the leading air filtration systems in the market. And they, through conversation, he's a Rooot ambassador, loves our products. His kids are using them for Pee Wee football, and they torch other teams because of what Zero N does. And he came to me and said, look, here's what we have as far as the 3rd generation air filtration unit, the most advanced in the market. The only device is actually recommended by I forgot his title, but for the state of Florida's director of remediation when it comes to mold remediation in all the homes, when homes are damaged from hurricanes and flooding and such. This equipment is the only one recommended for remediation of air. And there are three different options. One, the whole house unit, which you see, the TRIAD AER. And it'll cover up to 3,000 square feet, which is amazing. I have 2 of these in our house. And what was really interesting is, as I was digging through the house and I got these for our home, and I was cleaning upstairs, I found 2 Gen 2s of this same equipment that Christina had in the house previously. So it was a perfect swap to bring in Gen 3. And these units use the 5 different steps for cleaning the air. They'll knock mold out of the air. If you want ozone, they can create ozone on a timer. So when people aren't in the house, they can ozonate your air. I've seen, and I've tested this personally, and we'll go over the second one in a minute. This is the only unit I've ever seen that will get rid of cat pee smell and ammonia in a matter of minutes.
Wow.
It is like nothing I've ever seen. One of the tests that they'll do with these when they're at trade shows and such is have a bottle of ammonia and just put it on a napkin or on a towel, have you smell it so you know it's ammonia. You can stick it up to the air filter, and in a matter of about a minute or 2, the smell's gone. And tested, proven, most advanced in the market. It was only perfect for us to create a collaboration where we could make it available for everyone in the community and make it shareable. So the home unit, and this is what's really important. This is not something that is just for homes. Every single business needs at least one of those in their facility. And bars, restaurants, in very few places still allow cigarette smoke. Preston and I, our second oldest, on Monday nights we go play poker at a dive bar here in Franklin they still allow smoking in there. So I take my portable unit with me and I have it at the table, which we'll probably play with this here in a minute.
It's funny you guys don't have like a mask on you.
No, because then I can't make fun of people and they'll make fun of me for wearing a muzzle. And
that's true.
I'm going to take one of the big units probably in with me, and I'm just going to tell the owner, look, you need at least 2 of these in here, because what's been shown is this air filter, if you go back one, story.
Yeah.
It'll get rid of cigarette smoke, cigarette smell, cigars, everything. It'll clear it. And you can do the same thing in a car now. So the second is the little wall unit, which she just had, and I don't have one with me, and I left one in Germany for Birgit to try, for everybody to play with. And I'm not sure if Shanna's on here. She was one of the first people that I had act as a beta, because she's got a mold problem in their house, and her son is highly sensitive to mold. And so I had her get one just to try it in her son's room, and within about 10 or 15 minutes, all of his issues went away. And he's not had a single issue with mold exposure since.
Is this the one that you plug into you have to plug it in?
Yeah, you can just plug it into a wall. Well, the other
Okay.
one you have to plug into a power supply. You can plug this into a wall outlet, and it'll cover about 250 square feet. So you can take care of a room with this, or a condo, or a dorm room, for kids if they're at college and such, where there's massive mold issues.
I thought this was pretty small. Like,
It
I
is.
thought this.
It is really small. It is a little bit bigger than a normal power outlet.
But you can't use this one like to travel with, like on a plane or something like that.
If you have a power outlet, but I'll show you the alternative that you can travel with.
Okay, wait a minute. You're getting ahead. Let's see what Birgit has to say first, because she probably wants to talk about.
I hope my echo is gone, okay, because Tom found the reason. Can you hear me better now?
You are good
Yeah,
now.
clear.
Because I usually had an echo, Clayton said. Anyway, thank you very much, because now I don't have to smell the stink in my husband's office. He smokes a cigar when he has to think and work, so this office was terrible. And he has a closet in there where it seeped through the closet into the clothes, and I was always mad at him for stinking up everything. And now we put it in for the last 3 days, and the office, he smokes, and it smells clean. It is so amazing how this small little thing, he just put a German, converter on it, put it in the plug in the wall next to his desk, and that's it. And it works. And the cats go in and out. There is no cat smell or cat hair flying around. It's amazing. It's much cleaner there, and you go in and you can smell it, feel it. It's like fresh. Thank you very much, and I'm going to get one for my office, and I guess we get the big one for the house, who does much more, I guess, with the small one can't produce that, but the small one is so great for a small office, and we have like 195 square feet each office, and are happy with this.
See, I love it when a plan comes together. The
Wow,
one thing I'll say,
that's
depending
pretty cool.
upon countries and such, and this is going to be counterintuitive to traditional sales, but from a price standpoint, because the large unit, the TRIAD AER, the box that handles 3,000 square feet, is it is $1,295, right, for the big box. These mini airs are about $149. What I would do if I had my choice right now, depending upon where you live and the environment, I would get a few of these and place them throughout the house and take care of everything, because they have the old adage of go big or go home. In this instance, it might not be entirely needed, and being able to have these where you can plug them in different areas, it's amazing. The one thing I'll tell you is these air filtration systems are so effective. We've been testing at the house different air filtration units for about 2 years now. Christina and I, from having colleagues that have different mechanisms for air filtration, ozone systems. She's very, very sensitive to ozone, so we don't use the ozone feature with the TRIAD AER boxes. The air has been so fresh in our house for a couple times when she'd come in. The difference in smell between what's in the house and what was outside actually has shocked her so much. She thought there was ozone in the air, because the air in the house is so clean compared to what's outside, which is usually the antithesis. Indoor air.
Wait, Clayton, can I just cut across you a little bit?
Yep.
That triad, the one, the big one,
Mhm.
does that have an ozone setting on it?
It does. Yeah, you can actually, so like while you're away, you can hit a button and choose what time frame you want it to run ozone for. So if you want to knock, and this stuff will knock dust, particles, everything out of the air. So the mini airs you can plug into a wall outlet, they'll do their work. The big unit is best to set up higher. If you can set it up on a shelf or something and let it run, because working at a higher altitude in the house is actually going to work to knock out dust particles that are floating in the air, as well as just clean everything. So there's some unique opportunities with it. These things are amazing. Now let's get the third one, and we'll
This is a really great idea, these little plugins, because like most people, like I want one for my kitchen, because
Yes.
everybody hates the smell of food, like going through the house if you have an open landscape.
Yep.
My kids get so angry, like, oh, we can smell the food. They don't want to stand in the kitchen. If their clothes are in the, like, oh no, they don't leave their clothes around anywhere where they can get the food smell. So I think these are great, and even for the bedrooms.
Yeah, absolutely. They're outstanding. We have one of our guest bedrooms is turned into Crumpet's playhouse. So our cat has her litter box in one of the bedrooms, and there's been a couple instances because my daughter, who allegedly owns the cat, I think the owner of the pets is the one who feeds them and cleans up after them, which means I own the cat. I didn't want the cat, but I get to take care of the cat. And I think everyone's aware that if you leave kitty litter alone for a while, it's just not going to be able to absorb everything that's in there. So we had a couple instances where you get a little bit rank with the ammonia smell. So I plugged in, one of these in the wall outlet that sits right above the kitty litter box, and within a couple minutes, no more smell. It is outstanding. And by the way, if you have a cat and you get the cheapest kitty litter available, you can get 20-pound bags of kitty litter for like $4 here, at least in the United States. Just so you know, that kitty litter that's really inexpensive is actually clean up to the light.
There you go.
So don't eat it. But if you do have the cheapest kitty litter, and once your kitty does it, go throw that stuff in the garden and mix it in, because the ammonia and nitrogen that your cat is putting in the kitty litter can be used to feed your plants.
It should be good for house plants as well, shouldn't it, Clayton?
It could be very well.
Yeah.
But then there's the third little guy. Say hello to my little friend. So I brought this in the office with me today because I wanted to purify my office and I wanted to test it. There's nothing like the smell of fresh air. So this little unit you can set in your, what is it called? In a cup holder in your car. This will purify the air in your car in a matter of minutes. If you're a smoker of all kinds, because here in the United States, well, April 20th was just last week. And so 420 is kind of a big holiday here in the United States for everybody that likes to smoke cannabis. And people have a pretty big issue if they smoke cannabis in their car because it smells really bad. This will clear it quickly. But the cool thing with this is you can take it with you. So if you're going to a restaurant, you can set it on the table with you and have, make sure you got fresh air. If you're like me and you're going to go play poker, you can just have it with you and set it on the table with you. And because I don't drink when I play cards, so I can put it in the cup holder and look really cool and have people ask me questions on why I brought an air filter with me, which leads into them buying them.
How much is this one?
These are the same. I think they're the same. Yeah, they're the same price as the mini. So they're $149. So you have the mini that you can plug into a wall. This you can charge at.
This has a USB plug, so you can actually bring that on a plane with you.
Yes, you can.
These would be great stocking stuffers.
Yeah, exactly.
The gift of fresh air. So mine's on right now. You can barely hear it. And
people asking if it was noisy.
Not too much. I mean, you can hear that it's on, and if you were to sleep with it, I think it will actually be helpful because it gives you some white noise to sleep with. but it's not that loud. And this is, you know, what is it? Aluminum construction, I think. So it's pretty durable, and it looks
Is
cool.
it heavy?
Not really. I mean, it's lighter than a can of soda, and if we get enough of these, we'll end up putting a Rooot logo on it, which will look kind of cool.
That would look really cool.
Yeah.
Does it have somebody's asking if it has a high electromagnetic field?
Well, you know, it's funny when people want to talk about EMFs because they're like, oh no, it's resonant. Well, if you remove the heavy metals from your system, it really doesn't matter anyway. But I don't think so. Let me see if I put it up to my head.
Oh my God, you're glowing.
Hold on, you can probably see the color from
Just
out the other
kidding.
side.
I'm going to take that away.
It's not like the hair
Okay.
dryer. But no, these things have been absolutely outstanding. And the only reason that I wanted to make these available for the Rooot community is the outcomes that we've seen. People have asked, it's like, oh well, what about this? What about this? Can we promote this? The only reason that these are here is because they are best in class. And there was a lot of research done to validate that, because we're not going to bring in stuff, especially from outside sources, that is not best available. And these are the best in the market. And so I'm excited for everyone to have some experience with them.
When are they ready?
What we're doing right now is because we want to save as much money as possible on shipping. Everybody in Europe is able to pre-order them now. And I think we're going to send over a bulk order over to our warehouse. Well, we'll send it over to Amsterdam first, and then they'll go to our warehouses in Germany and such for fulfillment. So it'll save on shipping costs.
Okay. Sounds good.
The US will have them start shipping in May, and that's 4 days from now. So, but if we get
what we're thinking,
July,
August for us?
June, probably June. And here's the little thing. If we get a bunch of orders for these quickly, then we can probably turn them around even quicker than expecting, because it's really based on volume.
But for us here in Europe, what about the plugs? Are we going to have converters?
No, actually, and that's one of the things that we want to do this first order in bulk, and we're generating, you know, the interest is all of the units for Europe will all have the European adapter on them. They won't be US plugs that you have to have an adapter for. They'll all be rated for 220 and have European plugs.
So is there an advantage of doing the pre-order in terms of pricing, or is that going to change? Or
no, they're all the same. I mean, what I did when working with Mike on this is they have their set retail price. So we're working off of what the market retail price is. We didn't increase the price because we wanted to pay rewards on it. I was able to work with him and, you know, make sure that we're providing the products at the price that they've been available at. We're actually going to take over the majority of retail distribution for the products. And we're the only ones that actually have a reward model for it. So they're not 100% commissionable, but they're really close. So the $1,295 on the TRIAD AER, there's $900 that are calculated for rewards. On I think the Mini and the car purifier, I'll have to go back and look. I think it was.
So essentially what you're saying is that people could actually go to, say, for example, car dealers and sell them there as a retail product for them.
Oh, absolutely. What I would do in those instances, honestly, what I would do, and this is something, where I live, if you know real estate agents, and I'm going to reach out to a couple of my real estate agent friends, because if you know real estate agents, a smart real estate agent with every home that they sell should buy a big unit for every new homeowner. And even smarter than that, they should have one that they take with them for every open house that they do for about 30 to 45 minutes or an hour before they do an open house. They should have this thing running in the house so everybody walks in with fresh air.
That's a great idea for, especially
a
for
great
safety
sell.
home.
But
And we sell more houses
every
that way.
business, every car dealership, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants fresh air. If you guys have ever walked into an establishment that has really great air filtration, and if you want the analogy of this, do you know casinos pump oxygen into the air for a reason? Because it's uplifting and you feel better. Fresh air gets us working better. We feel better. So if you create a better environment, people are happier in it. And we touched on this a little bit, fire retardants and the chemicals that are in your clothes. If you look at clothing stores, they need to have one in there because all of the new clothes that are there are off-gassing the entire time. You're going to create a better shopping experience. So it opens up a realm of opportunity to have conversations on something that you might not go in and say, hey, everybody here needs clean slate. It's like, do you want fresh air? Here you go. So it's kind of cool. And that is designed to be the fun part of the universe, the Rootiverse, not the universe. I'm not big on meta, but the Rootiverse is going to be epic. And this creates an opportunity for people to have a different conversation. And just so everyone knows, the Gen 1, the first version of this device that came out of the big unit was actually sold by a company called EcoQuest long ago. Dory and Claire probably remember them. Many of you might remember a company called EcoQuest that sold air filters. It was the Gen 1 of these systems. They did like $100 million a year in sales in just air filters.
Why would he say that we would know, Claire?
Because
I don't know. Maybe he's aging us.
no,
That's what I thought.
Maybe European.
but you
What about
probably remember
viruses?
them.
Clayton, what about bacteria? Well, does mold? Will do viruses, I presume, as well?
Yeah, it actually is proven to remove viruses and stuff from the air too. Even
So that's also another big cause for concern.
well, I don't know if the last 2 years people have had any worries about viruses in the air.
No, obviously not. So
Here, Nadine wants to know if it has any filter, and what kind of maintenance does it have?
So the car units or the mobile unit and the mini unit require no maintenance, and the big unit, I think you just have to take out the plates every once in a while and just rinse them off.
okay,
Oh, that's
easy.
nice.
Yeah, that's very easy.
Yeah, so it
Fun
depends
thing to
on
play
how
with.
your home is.
What is the smallest micron that it can actually capture?
I don't know. That's a question for Mike. I think.
I think people would want to know that,
Hold on.
right? You guys want to know that?
Call Mike Dillon.
He's gonna find out right now.
No, he's going to ask you. WhatsApp him. Oh, here we go.
Yo,
You're on air.
you're live on my show with Dory and Claire and the crew. We got 200 million people that are on here right now.
Because I have a special surprise for you. I don't know if she has any time, but I am with probably one of my favorite freedom fighters right now, Dr. Jane Ruby. She is always on Red Voice Media. She has her own channel. If you've got 30 seconds, let me at least introduce you. Because you know she does the show right after Stu Peters.
Yeah. So you're there with Jane. I got a quick question for you so you can answer for the community. What's the micron size for removal with air filters? How small do they go?
0.001 with the PCO. The photocatalytic oxidation in conjunction with bipolar ionization can remove 0.001 micron in size.
How you like them
Wow.
apples?
That's
Wow.
impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Way better than 0.03 from a HEPA filter. We don't play.
I like.
Clayton, can I introduce you to Dr. Jane Ruby real quick?
Absolutely. There's no one here.
Yeah, hold on. Let me, can I FaceTime you real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm gonna call you on WhatsApp.
Done. I'm going to chat with Dr. Jane Ruby because you know what Dr. Jane Ruby loves? These air filters. Do you know why Dr. Jane Ruby is coming to Root really quickly? These air filters. And we're going to have a little conversation about getting rid of all the other stuff she's talking about in the media.
Oh, but you're gonna stay on while you're having a
Of
conversation.
course we are, because this is what we do. How cool is this going to be?
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the big speaker. I mean, like the speaker,
Big screen.
yeah, the big screen.
Everybody has to be quiet so we do this. So this is what you get, the after hours conversation. Now, if you follow the socials and all the stuff going on, Dr. Jane Ruby's kind of a big deal. She's got like 150,000 people that follow her on her channel. She's on Telegram. She's probably the reason that Stu Peters even has a bit of an audience. You know what's funny with that is you bring the really smart women on in order to have people listen to you. You know, it's funny. We kind of built an entire company and an entire community around that. Isn't that interesting? So let's see if I think he's going to call me on WhatsApp. We'll figure it out here.
Yeah, that's what he said. I'm gonna call you on WhatsApp.
We'll see here. Let's see how quickly it takes him to call me back. I might call him. Oh, there he is. Dude, you're giving me the zoom. You're giving me the zoom of your t-shirt.
Hi, Clayton.
Hey, Doc, it's nice to meet you.
You too. He's a cute looking guy.
Yeah.
He's got the flags on and everything.
My
Love the
wife
hair.
does my hair. That's all I have.
Love your hair.
So it's good. It's good to meet you.
Don't cut it.
So
What's going on? Are you connected? Oh, that's a good
job.
guy.
Good job. You should have bought it with my code though.
oh, we're gonna do a little bit more than that. You know, the good part to go along with these is actually having the solution to everything else that's going on, you know, that you've done such a great job talking about. So it's, you know, I must commend you for being one at the forefront of having the conversation. So I'll have you meet my better half here shortly. The two of you need to have a chit chat. You know, with your background and her background, you know, and actually having two really high level, dynamic, intelligent women having a conversation and take all the guys out of it will be quite intriguing.
Former pharma insiders.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the fun part, you know, with what you've done and what she's done, really having, because from what I've been able to watch in your interviews, you haven't really had anyone that's had a similar background, you know, to what you have, and vice versa.
Very few of us. Yeah.
In my favorite thing, especially when I do these health and wellness seminars and I'm with Christopher Key and you know, Dr. Artis, you know, and all these guys that are out there, in one breath, tell her the accolades of what your wife did before she started working for Root. Do it in one breath. Watch.
Master's in Science, PhD, PsyD, EDD, postdoc at Harvard in nanotechnology and bioscience engineering, Cornell in pharmaceutical management and nutritional counseling. She's been at Pfizer, Alexion, Biogen, IDEC, Johnson & Johnson, UCB, Bristol Myers Squibb, and she was an adjunct professor at Hopkins in oncology. But she was at BMS when they were doing all the research on these mRNA vaccines for HIV.
Where did you marry? A 70-year-old?
No, she's biologically or chronologically.
You don't say, Clayton.
She's done a lot in her lifetime. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know, it's the interesting part because she's done stuff that as a man would never be able to do, right? There's only a woman would be capable of doing what she's doing. 4 kids, Lyme disease when she was 19, lost her memory, brain tumor, spinal tumor, multiple kinds of skin cancer, lost a kid to cancer. You go, okay, well, who's going to put all that together? It's like, now guys would have quit a long time ago. Yeah. So
Yeah,
It's bringing those
absolutely.
together.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So real quick, let me just give you a quick background. I sent her only a very small link. Their very first key product that they came out was Clean Slate. For almost half of his entire life, Clayton has been working with the zeolite crystal. It is probably the most bioavailable, most organic material that can help with detoxing heavy metals. Right now, it's beyond the Trinity. When I first started talking with Clayton a year ago, they had an organic bioavailable Clean Slate, which is the detox product, binds heavy metals. They've done research with live blood analysis for graphene hydroxide. They have the gut health, which is the restore. He just showed it to you.
Is that the zeolite?
Yep, that's a zeolite, kleptenolite with a little bit of vitamin
So I
C
know you
water.
want to fill in. I'm not going to run away. I have to interject. So one of my has become one of my closest friends, warriors. Is, I don't know if you've heard of her from my show and everything. Is Dr. Zandre Botha from Johannesburg. She has really courageously come out. She's found a lot of the stuff that's in these vials and everything. But here's the way: she's a naturopath as well. And she treats patients every day, as well as, you know, she has these attorneys that get her the vials. The reason I'm telling you that is because if you look at her website, she's in South Africa. You can't get stuff back and forth. The point is she uses the zeolite almost every day. I mean, she uses it on her patients. Now, obviously we're going to go with yours. I'm just saying, I'm already understanding a great deal of it. And I know there's a need for it. And if we can get it out here, especially I'm starting it, you know, don't give everything to Stu.
We have well, you know what? I've already gone down that route. That's all done. This is on you. We actually have a warehouse in South Africa. So good times.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, we have one in South Africa, one in Australia.
So real quick, Clayton, the only reason why I want you to expand, because what's going to happen is I'm going to explain to Dr. Jane what she's done with me so far. I want you to basically tell her, because one of the biggest problems that I'm running into now, and you're one of the only people that can help me solve this issue, is I have Dr. Jane Ruby having people text me almost every day.
Really?
Do you ship to London? Do you ship to Australia?
Oh,
Do you ship to Germany? So with the following that she has, when we start this, which we've already launched with you here in North America, kind of explain to her that when we start sending our warehouses, I want you to explain to her what's going to happen when we set her up with an affiliate, not only when we start running TRIAD through you with her, but also with your detox products, because
he's going to distribute overseas.
Not only is Clayton going to help me distribute overseas, but so let me tell you real quick, in the chiropractic industry, anything above a 30% stickiness rate is considered pretty damn good. When I first did my Michigan Association Chiropractic show 7.5 months ago, I introduced the Rooot brand products that Dr. Christina formulated. I have an 85% sticky reorder rate with my chiropractors. So they're falling in love. So it's a consumable. They do a 30-day supply of the cleptenolite, a 30-day supply of the 0N, and it's if you do half a satchel a day, it is a 30-day supply of the Rooot Restore, which is their gut health. Do you have any of the gut health there?
Do you have anything here?
I just do it at my store on Okeechobee, so I can send you some samples. But that right there is unbelievable. That has the resveratrol, that has the turmeric.
Wait a minute, what's in there? Okay.
Show her the ingredients.
Oh, here, I'll go over it with you. So you've got
It's probably like a million.
Go ahead.
raspberry ketones, pure curcuminoids. So there's 175 megs of pure curcuminoids, resveratrol, D-ribose, apple cider vinegar, aloe vera, black cumin seed oil, and a couple other little. Oh, she created a quantum nano emulsion.
Oh, no, that's it. Okay,
That's on the Okeechobee Clinic. I have some Rooot there too as well. But I think
try that Rooot.
I think that if we get her taking the Rooot product and she interviews your wife, I have a feeling the check that she's going to get from you is going to be much bigger than the check. And listen, at the end of the day, we know it's not about the money. It's about the reach that we have. But if you do the Lord's work, the money will follow.
Absolutely. And we're Americans, where it's about entrepreneurship. We know we're bringing the best things to people. I can see this coming. This was always and your wife will appreciate this when we do get together and talk. One of my superpowers in the industry was really seeing how things were going to go down the line. It's not a crystal ball, but I can see what's coming. And I can see this whole zeolite thing, and the opportunity to educate them on it. They're dying for something that will clear these spikes.
Yep. Well, we've heard the fun part when it comes to clearing the spikes, the cytokine storm.
He's in Brentwood, Tennessee.
So the cytokine storm, the myocarditis issues, the liver inflammation issues, the C-reactive protein issues, we have a collaboration with the International Science Nutrition Society that we actually had to create because of the science that we have. But we have all the data that all of those issues we're reversing in 30 days. We've already got all the clinical data.
Remember one thing, and it's a big hump. It's a big hurdle, and I've already laid it out for people.
Hold on, you're there you go.
It's impossible right now to stop or reverse or remove the mRNA that's embedded in every cell once they take these shots with a lipid nano. You don't have proof of that.
Well,
I'm all about, hold on a minute. I'm all about eradicating, controlling, mitigating, removing the effect of as many spikes as you can and people feeling good and being able to fight infection again. But it's a high hurdle to get me over.
Can you go grab her for me?
Yeah, she's on the
If she's free, have her come say hi, please. I'm trying to grab the wife.
And that's not Dr. Jane. That's going to be everybody who's anybody in the scientific world that's worth their salt. They're going to, and in fact, when talking to probably one of the brightest people in the world, he said to me, it's probably going to require another injection of another RNA signal, but that's going to have it's always risky. It may go awry, right? But I'm not saying that the zeal, I'm all for it because I know Zandre's done pre and post, Zandre Batha, she's done pre and post blood testing. People who are jabbed and they've got all this. I won't go through it. I'm sure you're aware of it.
No, we know it.
And then you can see those are the effects of those spikes of the cytokine storms, which are the inflammatory cascades and all that. But it's enough to do what the zeolite does. It's going to give them their lives back. But if you're calling her over because you think you have something that's going to prove that
I can tell you that
mRNA is embedded. It's not only embedded, it's integrated. In other words, it's done its own CRISPR. It's done its own CRISPR. It's gotten in there, it's removed a chunk, and it's put itself in. Sorry, I don't mean to use
No, it's okay. Hey, listen, I know we're not live right now, so it doesn't matter. But I'll never forget when I was at the Nashville, Tennessee event, and I'll never forget when I had Dr. Peter McCullough, we had Del Bigtree, Andy Wakefield, and Judy Mikovich that were all there on the phone for 4.5 hours back and forth.
Peter's compromised.
But we know that. But when your wife got on stage, Judy Mikovich put her pad down and looked up and goes, "Okay, now we got somebody on stage that knows what the fuck they're talking about." I love that. And listen, just so you know, I don't know if you were in tune with this, but Christopher Key was at a live event in Jacksonville, Florida with a so-called Fight for Your Freedom seminar. And he literally walked up to Dr. Peter McCullough and he said, dude, he goes, you're sitting here telling people that vaccines are okay.
Yeah.
He goes, I know you're against the COVID vaccine. He goes, but all of these vaccines are injecting profits into children at a young age. He's like, you got to stop telling people that not all vaccines are bad. 30 minutes later, he was fucking arrested.
That's why he was kicked out. Let me tell you. Because that Robin Openshaw she's controlled opposition.
100%.
And you had Malone that she had all the compromised grifters.
That even high
days of fake.
Yep. High res and Jimmy Levy walked out of that show after Christopher got arrested.
Yeah, that was decent.
They said that this is not the event that we thought. They were touting our face all over like we were going to be at all of this. He goes, we can no longer stand behind this promoter. He goes, it's not free speech. He goes, Dr. Artist was kicked off stage and Dr.
was kicked off.
Yep. And I think
I was disinvited.
Yep.
With Brian Artist. Who else was
trying to remember who else walked away.
Well, Pierre Corey walked away, but he's been against Artists, so it's not like he was just going with Malone and McCullough.
Yeah.
But other than me, publicly, this is the first time when Christopher did that, and then he did a statement publicly on his channel where he called out McCullough. No one's ever done it. I've posted millions of times, Clayton. The guy has taken $2.2 million from Big Pharma since 2015. I've got him on record. I've got screenshots of him promoting Novavax.
Mm-hmm.
Promoting Novavax. Now, he was sued by Baylor last year. Exactly. That lawsuit has gone real quiet. Makes sense. Ryan Cole is compromised. He's gone.
It was one of the desires as I was talking with Mike to get a hold of you because he was talking about having the meetup with you, because you're one of the few people. And it's the beautiful part when you look at it of how many women are at the forefront, how many men are at the forefront, and it's the men usually that are compromised. Women don't compromise. You have principles.
100%. If you ask Christopher Key, now I swear to you, dude, I wish I had this on video, and I know you guys have chatted with him. The only time I ever saw him get quiet is when I was at the Nashville show, and I asked Del Bigtree in front of 4 or 5 different people. I said, hey, what do you think about Andy Wakefield having a patent on a safer vaccine? And he walked away and with like no comment, he turned and walked away. And I was like, so now most people don't know that Andy Wakefield actually has 3 patents on what they call a safer vaccine. So now it's like they're out there promoting how bad vaccines are.
Dell has been flipped a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's that?
Can you go? Is there any way you can go pull her out of her meeting?
She's
That's
doing.
okay. We can do it. It's not. I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's not.
She's doing an interview with Robert Scott Bell right now, I think. So I'm not sure how
And
long
we should-
that's going to
and
be.
she and I should probably do like a nice Zoom and take a half an hour, and go over a lot of all that stuff. So that's okay. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, not a problem. So let me ask you this. I'll send her the detox link that I have. But maybe what I'll do is I'll just put it on. I don't care. I want her to try it.
Would Theolite help me if I had full blown whatever the COVID thing was that they dropped, their engineered bioweapon in March of 2020? I was sick for 6 weeks, lost my sense of taste and smell for a year, just got it back late last year.
Yep. Yeah, and
Will it help me lose weight and look 10 years younger?
I've got